I am 15 minutes away from 74 hours in this week's fast. That's right, 15 minutes from 74 hours in this fast. Hey, we're talking about fasting, the amazing process that is at the heart of many of our health revolutions. In fact, fasting has grown in its popularity. It's grown in our understanding of how it impacts the body. It's grown in our understanding in how we use it to improve our metabolic health and how we, in this space, use it to reverse diabetes. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And we are living limitless lives. And limitless living says that we're not allowing anything to impede us. We're not allowing any boundaries, any obstacles to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. Nothing inside of me and nothing outside of me is going to prevent me from doing what I need to do to be metabolically healthy and to reverse my diabetes. That's right, reverse diabetes. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, get off of medication, who want to improve their metabolic health. And right here in this space, that's what we're doing. Hey, if you're new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we're happy that you're here. If you have a question, go ahead and put those in the chat and make sure you put a Q in front of that question so that we will know that that's one that we need to get to as we move throughout our episode, our show. And so we are right now talking about diabetes, talking about fasting, a tool that we're using to reverse diabetes, talking about fasting. How do we prepare for a fast? How do we get through a fast successfully? What's going on in my body as I'm fasting? And then how do we break the fast so that we make sure that we are setting ourselves up for the best possibility of success to maintain those benefits that we gained through the fast? If you've not done so, we want to make sure that you are joining us on our 100-day walk to consistency. We have that. We are on day number 65, I believe. In the walk, and you want to make sure that you are joining us. It is a space, it's another one of those tools that we're using to be consistent. Remember, our issue with success metabolically is not usually that we don't have a desire. It's not that we don't have a vision. It's not even that we don't have know-how. It is that we don't have a plan and we're not consistent. I'm gonna pause. We don't have a plan and we're not consistent with it. And so this allows us, this 100-day walk to consistency allows us to put into place a plan that helps us move in that direction, right? So 100-day walk to consistency, I'm pulling that up so that you can see here on the channel. Let's go ahead and hop over there really quickly. So this is our walk, and right now there are 67 videos. Oops, I moved one, don't want to do that. 67 videos in the walk. Right, so every day we're coming, it's about 30 minutes or thereabouts, usually. And it just gives you a space where you can come, where we are moving, because that helps with our metabolism. We are learning, because it helps with our mindset. And we are being consistent, that helps with the structure. We're fixing the body, we're changing the mind, and it gives us structure. So make sure you get over there if you've not done so yet, and walk through that with us, because we're excited. We're having a great time as we move through that series. Okay? All right. So what are we doing here in this space? What are we doing here in this space? This space is designed to help us implement some of the tools that we learn as we're moving down the path of limitless living. So on our main show on Monday nights at 7 p.m., Dwain Woode MD Live, we are walking down the path of limitless living. It says that we are doing whatever we need to do. Notice what I'm saying. We're doing whatever we need to do to reverse our diabetes. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes. Whatever it takes. The places that we find ourselves where we are not controlling our blood sugar, whether that's because we are stressed and we're emotionally eating, because we are too busy, so we don't have time to prepare meals. It's cold outside. We have a bad back. Our feet hurt. And so we can't exercise and we can't move. Whatever the things are that are in place right now that are inhibiting us from doing what we need to do to be successful with our diabetes, reversing our diabetes, we're taking those out of the picture. That's the walk that we are on right now. That's the journey that we're on. Now, let me hasten to say, there are people who are out there that are not diabetic, and this gets me excited. There are people out there that are not diabetic, and they don't understand that diabetes is just an extreme form of what they currently have. Oh my goodness, come on, right? So diabetes is on the spectrum of metabolic diseases. And so it is a severe case of what's going on in your body right now. And if we don't do the things that we need to do, we end up there. Whether that's high blood pressure, high cholesterol, polycystic ovarian syndrome, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver, obesity, pre-diabetes, and then we're there, diabetes. And so the things that we're doing in reversing diabetes, in dealing with diabetes, are the things that have ripple effects down the line to all the diseases in that spectrum. And so if you can learn the things that we are talking about, the things that we are teaching, then you can also reverse some of the disease processes that are going on in your body. And so that's the path that we're walking as we are moving through limitless living. And then on a weekly basis, I do a fast. Our community does a fast. I am doing a 72-hour fast, and you heard me say just a little while ago, I'm almost 74 hours this week. And that's because I've actually been busy today doing some other things. And then I had to do the show, so here I am. So 72 hours, 74 hours, we'll see what my blood sugars are here in just a little while. And you guys know how we do it. I've got my, let's hop over and let's look at that. So I've got my meters off to the side. We'll take a look at my Keto Mojo and my Contour. And then right down below me, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report that we'll take a look at in just a little while. But back to what we're doing. And so our goal in this space is to put into practice the tools that we are learning, the mindset changes, so that we can be successful in our metabolic disease process. And so on Fridays, I do a check-in where I should do a check-in. I do a check-in every time I do a check-in. But what we're doing is we're walking through fasting. How do we prepare for the fast? How do we get through the fast and what's going on in our body? And then how do we break the fast to maintain those benefits? Okay? So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And you saw that a little while ago when I showed you my meter. And let's go ahead and pull that back up. And right now you'll see that my blood sugar, according to my my Libre, is 57. I'm looking backwards. So 57. And what I'm looking at is this number right here. You see that squiggly line? So right there, part of it is white and part of it is red. And the white part is just above 70. And then the red part, those are all numbers that are below 70. So for most of today, my blood sugars have been below 70. Okay, and you see what it is right now at 59. If I go over to the Dexcom, you'll see similar things, and this is a 24-hour view. And I'm going to go ahead and hit my finger there so we can see what those numbers are. And you'll see there that was about 5, almost 6 o'clock this morning. And as we went through the day, went through the early morning, the blood sugars went up a little bit, right above 100 up to 110. I think it was 111 was the highest that it got. And then continued going down, and then dropped below 100 and has been kind of staying below 100 and continuing to go down over the course of the rest of the afternoon. If I go back to a 24-hour view, this is where we were yesterday. That's yesterday at 6 p.m., right? Almost 24, a little over 24 hours ago. And you see we were in the 60s, and then we popped up. I'm not sure what that there was a actually we talked about that yesterday. I'm not sure where that part right there that was not recorded, but we were 77 and we kind of increased up into the low 100s. I think the highest we got here was that was that 111 that we saw, and then continue to go back down. And so what we'll do is when we see my meter or my report, we'll have a way to go back and look at several days. This one just gives us a 24-hour view. So now let's go ahead and let's hop over and take a look at my meters. And here is my contour. This is my contour and this is my Keto Mojo. And let's grab my handy dandy container. And let's get this. The brown one is for the blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And this blue one is the ketones for Keto Mojo. Let's go ahead, since we're in here, let's go ahead and grab a lancet. So that's what we'll use to get a finger stick. And then let's hop over and let's grab one of these strips, and this is for the contour. As I mentioned before, contour just happens to be the meter that we use in our office, and so that's why I have it. Didn't make sense to me to buy two different types of strips. All right, so let's get that one in there, get that started. And I'm gonna go ahead and open both of these, because you know I don't like to stick myself twice. So let's go ahead and get that one open. We'll get that into the Keto Mojo and open the, this is the ketone, and I'll put this off to the side because we'll come back to that in just a minute. And then I grab my lancet, and this, you'll see there's a little, see that little needle? Okay. And I like this because it allows me to put as much pressure as I need. And sometimes, of course, if my hands are cold or I hit a wrong spot, which is kind of calloused, I don't get a good flow of blood. But let's see if we, yep, there we go. That was a brisk flow, which is what we like. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So 55 is what the Keto Mojo says. And then 55, look at that, they're both the same. And I'm not sure what happened to my Libre, it just went off. Let's go ahead and grab this back. But let's take a look at what this is saying. So this is saying 80, 81. Let's go ahead and add this strip, and this is my ketone. So if you think you know what my ketones are gonna be, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Take a guess. Go ahead and get that one started. And of course, I'm not going to show you what the ketones are yet, quite yet. I know, it's such a tease. Yeah, let's pop that over. All right, and so we'll come back and we'll take a look at that in a minute. And I think I saw someone guessing in there. So go ahead and drop that in the comments again, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at what those are. But let me go ahead and do our check-in. And when I do a check-in, there are three things that I always want to look at. And when you're evaluating anything that you're changing, you want to have a process that you go through to evaluate. How are you doing? Is it giving you the benefit that you thought you were going to get? So when we talk about fasting in this space, there are three areas that people tend to have difficulty with, and that is how they're doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so this is where we are, right? How am I doing physically, mentally, and emotionally? And I am, as I said, right now, 74 hours and 2 minutes into this week's fast. And energy-wise, I'm doing well. I don't feel as though I am sluggish or I am I'm walking through mud or quicksand, as sometimes people will say. Feel like they're hitting a wall. Have not had that. Of course, I've been resting, right? And we'll talk about that here in just a minute when we go through our fasting review. Because I'm rested, my energy levels are up. I don't feel lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty because I've been hydrating, right? So I've got my mug. You remember when I did my check-in yesterday, I actually said that I did feel a little lightheaded. Then I realized that I had not been drinking as much as I needed to, right? So physically, right now, not an issue for me. And then mentally, so remember the mental aspect of our fast, when we are rested, then our thought process is clear. When we're rested, we don't feel foggy-headed. When we're rested, we don't feel clouded. And so right now, I am doing well in my fast. I'm doing well physically, doing well mentally. And then emotionally just goes with the other two, right? So these are actually three of the pillars of wellness. And so we've been walking through that. When we're physically rested, when we feel good mentally and we're able to process and be in the space, we're able to be mindful, then our emotions will follow through or follow with us. The other thing is that our fasting is not just a not eating, so that there are emotions that come up, and those emotions are there all the time. It's just that when we're fasting now, we don't have the food that we normally use to buffer. We don't have the food to interface, if you will, and often we have that, and so we're not dealing with the issue. But now it comes front and center. And so I've been doing a good job. The 100-day walk to consistency and health that we're doing is a series that is helping with the health, but it's also helping with mindset. And so I've been learning and moving and changing and growing and expanding as we've gone through that series. And so emotionally, I think I'm a lot more resilient at now than I was at the beginning of that series. So remember, we're using all of the tools that we have access to help us in being successful in where we need to go. So emotionally, feeling good, feeling happy. We've got some things planned with our family. We had some good news from a family member today, and just excited about some things that are going on with us. So yeah, so just feeling pumped, feeling pumped right now. And let's go ahead and so that's our check-in. So that's how I'm feeling. As we've been walking through our series, we have been talking about how the mind works, and the mind is an important part of all of this. And what we're doing right now is with the idea of understanding, right? The intellectual health, understanding fasting so that we can do the best job we possibly can in being ready for anything that happens to us. So our emotional health, our mental health, and of course, our intellectual health. And these are all, by the way, part of our, it's all part of our path. Right now, we're going through a series as we're talking about the different domains of health, of wellness. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's hop over, and we're going to say hi to, I see some comments in the chat, so let's hop over there and just say hello. And I see Gian that's out there, and she's saying, hello, doctor. I said, I'm waiting for this live. So I'm glad that you are here, Gian, and waiting for the live. She says, I'm happy to listen. Hi, Wood Gang. She said, wow, 74 hours. Yes, 74 hours into this week's fast. Great job. Thank you. And I see 3.5. So I'm going to go ahead and star that. And that is a guess of my guess for my ketones. There we are. So that was a guess for ketones. So thank you for that guess. I'll put a star there. We'll come back to that here in just a minute. Hit thumbs up, please. I'm really excited about your ketone number. It must be a great number. So we'll see. We'll see here in a minute. And then here's a question. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to that question. I'll come back to that in a minute. And I hope you. Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's hop into our discussion. And we are fasting. We're fasting for 72 hours. That's what I've been doing. And I recommend that most people are able to fast for at least a 24-hour period. Right? So they're able to fast at least for a 24-hour period. And so when you are fasting, there are certain things that we go through, certain things that that we experience, and if we're not careful, then those things can derail us. Right? Those things can derail us. And so we want to do the best job that we possibly can in being successful. And understanding fasting is very beneficial because it then helps us to be in the space where we are not confused about the things that happen in our body and how to be successful. Because often we think that fasting is just an eating. We're not eating right now, but it's a lot more than that. So we're doing a fasting review. It's really need to know the things that you need to know about fasting. And when I talk about fasting, I like to break it up into 3 different areas. And that is the ones that we've been talking about. How do you prepare for the fast? How do you get through the fast successfully? And then how do you break the fast? Those are the places, those are the areas that I want to discuss. And so first of all, when we talk about fasting, often people say, well, what about fasting? Why do we need to fast? And the reason we fast is because fasting is a way of getting us ready and getting us to the end of the fast. It's like anything else that we do. It's like sports. And if you're going to do some sports, if you're going to exercise, if you are going to play an instrument, if you're going to do a presentation, you prepare for that prior to the event. And so when we are preparing, it just sets us up for success. Because fasting is, like I said, more than just not eating. It's the voluntary abstinence from food, but it entails so much more. And how you prepare for the fast ultimately determines your success of the fast. And you heard me do a check-in, and I was checking in how I'm doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Those are 3 of the major domains that people will talk about having issues with. And so we want to make sure that we are addressing those and that we are setting ourselves up for the best possibility of success. Okay? And when you fast, it allows you to determine milestones along the way, or when you prepare. Because there are things that are going to happen that come up, and if we're not aware, if we don't have some goalposts, then that can make things much, much more difficult for us. So preparing for the fast, very important. And we'll talk about several areas of preparing for the fast. Let's go through. So mental preparation. Why is mental preparation so important? Because you set clear goals. Often we don't succeed because we don't have structure. And in the structure, we have to be clear about what we're doing, where we're going, if we're going to be successful. So when we are preparing, we are setting clear goals for what we're doing and why we're doing. Why are we fasting? You're along this metabolic spectrum. You have diabetes and you want to reverse your diabetes. You have high cholesterol. You have high blood pressure. You have fatty liver disease. And you are fasting because you are in the process of improving those things. Why are you fasting? The why has to be big enough to help you through those times when you are going to have difficulties. Great place to take a sip, because difficulties are going to come. And when those difficulties come, when those challenges come, when you wake up in the morning and you're supposed to be out walking and it's cold out and your brain or your body tells you, hey, let's just not do this today. But I understand that every time I walk, I'm showing up for myself. Every day I get up and I walk, I'm being more consistent. Every day I get up and I walk, I'm telling myself that this is who I am. When we set those clear goals, then we're able to do that. When we visualize it, imagine the benefits of a successful fast. What's going to happen when I end this fast? When I am successful at the fast, my insulin resistance is going to go down. My weight will begin to go down. My blood pressure is going to go down. My blood sugar is going to go down. I'm going to have more mental clarity. I'm going to look good in that dress or that suit that I want to look at. I'm going to help with the food noise. I'm going to quiet the food noise. What does that look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? All this is what we're doing as we're preparing to get into the fast. Because remember, it's not just about not eating. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of mental clarity that we bring into our space when we're preparing for the fast. And then we educate ourselves, because we're going to figure out which fast we're going to do. Is it a 16-8? Is it a 5-2? Is it an alternate day fasting? Is it one meal a day? What is the type of fast that we're going to do? And we begin learning about that and how those fasts work. What is supposed to happen? How is it supposed to go? Are there different times during the fast when I'll feel different things? When do those hormones spike? All of this is what we're doing in the fast. And then in the fast, or preparing for the fast, we are getting ourselves pumped up and getting ourselves ready for going through the fast. So we want to do things like affirmations. We want to have a mission statement. We have a why that we put up on the wall. Those things that are visual, that they help us in getting through the fast. You want to elicit help from your inner coach. So we're giving the coach tools to use to help us, to push us forward, to support us as we're moving through the fast. All of this is happening as we are going through the fast. As we're preparing for the fast, preparing to go through the fast, right? So elicit help from our inner coach. And then after mental preparation, there's nutritional preparation. Now, this is a big one. And the overall concept here with the preparation nutritionally is that how you eat prior to a fast determines how successfully you get through the fast. It determines your experience during the fast. It determines the benefits that you get in the fast. And it determines how you end the fast. That all has to do with how we prepare for the fast. So the things that you eat have a direct impact on your fast. In our episode of Check-In the last couple of days, we've been talking about cravings, the food noise, and we've been talking about sugar. So if you are eating highly processed sugar, or not highly processed, if you're eating sugar, high carbs, highly processed foods, those foods stimulate the appetite because insulin is the hormone that they regulate or they stimulate. When insulin comes out, then our hunger hormones get dysregulated and we feel hungrier. And we have cravings. Not only that, but we put on weight. So we're putting on weight right before we say we're getting into a fast to lose weight. Right? And so those things that we do prior to the fast have a direct impact on the fast itself. So as you're moving towards the fast, you want to reduce the carbohydrates. You want to reduce the sugars that you're eating, because the very first phase in the fast is what's called the postprandial period, which we'll see in a minute. And that's during the time when the body is processing all the stuff that we just ate. And if we are looking to get into ketosis, which we want, if we're looking to get those benefits in fasting, which we want, it takes our body longer to get into that process if it has to now spend time dealing with all the carbs and the sugars that you just ate. And because the blood sugars are high, the insulin comes out and it begins to drop the blood sugar, and the rapid decrease in blood sugar also stimulates the appetite. We feel like we're tired because our energy just dropped. All has to do with the food that we just ate. So we want to reduce those carbs leading up to the fast. We want to increase healthy fats leading up to the fast, right? We want to increase our protein as well. The protein produces something called protein YY. The fat stimulates the release of cholecystokinin. Both of those have the benefit or have the effect of telling our brain that we're full. So we come into the fast, if we've done a good job of that, then those first several hours when people typically will see, oh, I'm having this craving, I feel like I'm empty, I feel like I'm hungry, the food that you ate helps with that as you move through the first parts of the fast. Also, it helps you determine specific meal that you will eat. And that is my recommendation, that as you're coming to the fast, don't just show up in the fast. Figure out what is the last meal you're going to eat before the fast itself. Otherwise, you're just going to grab what's there. And you know what's typically there? Yeah. It's not the stuff that we want to eat. It's not it's not the healthy fats or the lean protein or the reduced carbs and the low sugar and the decreased processing. It's the stuff that will stimulate our appetite. So figure out what the last meal is going to be. And plan for that. So that you're not rushing into that, because when we rush, because we don't have structure, once again, that causes problems for us downstream. And then you want to gradually reduce your eating window. So if you're going to do a 24-hour fast, don't just up and do a 24-hour fast. The days leading up to the fast, maybe you do a 12-hour, then you do a 16-hour, and then now you go 24-hour, right? So you're leading up to those fasts gradually as you're moving through that space. Okay, so reducing our eating window gradually. So that's how we prepare nutritionally. There's some other things we can talk about there, but we've done shows where we talked about the different types of fast, the fasting schedules: 16-8, 24, 1 meal a day, alternate day fasting, 72-hour fasting, and so forth. We also did a show where we talked about the fast and the benefit that we got from the fast, like what disease processes those fasts have been shown to help with. Okay, and then hydration. Hydration is very important. You want to make sure that you are remaining hydrated. One of the reasons that people sometimes will give up on a fast is they feel lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy, they feel palpitations, and all of that can come from you not being hydrated. If your body's volume goes down, then the body increases the heart rate to compensate for the flow, right? So less flow, but I've got to keep the same amount of nutrients, the same amount of waste product recycling. I've got to keep that going. So the body says, I got to speed the process up, and that shows up like palpitations. You want to make sure you're taking in adequate electrolytes. And there are a lot of products on the market that you can use to help make sure that you are doing that. You want to make sure that you're doing something that doesn't have any carbs or calories, because right now that's what we do, right? We are fasting from calories. And so all the food that we eat has to fall into that space. And then you want to drink, you can drink different things, right? Like herbal teas, green tea, chamomile tea, peppermint tea. These help to hydrate you, but they also calm you and relax you prior to the fast, right? We're doing things that help us be in the fast, be beneficial for us in the fast. So anything we can do preparing for the fast that helps us in the fast is great. Okay, so that is so hydration, and then after hydration, and this is not in any particular order. So I keep saying after, but it doesn't have to be after. It is a part of. It is a part of what we do during the process of preparing. And then physical preparation. If you are doing strenuous exercises, this is the time to kind of back down on that. You want to engage in light physical activities, things like walking, swimming, yoga, stretching, because we don't want to expend energy in exercise that takes our energy away from what we need right now during the fast. If you're doing a fasting workout, then you will be doing a particular type of exercise during fasting. People, and what I mean by that, there are people who fast specifically so they can get the benefit of fasting during their workout, because fasting has been shown to increase growth hormone, which helps with muscle maintenance and muscle mass. And fasting has been shown to help with and of course, as soon as I said that, the word went out of my with healing and recovery. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. Recovery. It's been shown to help with recovery. So recovery time when you're working out is faster when we're fasting, because we have the growth hormone that's there, and then the muscles like beta hydroxybutyrate, which is one of the ketones, because it helps. They like that as energy, and so if you're doing a fasting workout, that's a different story. But if you are not doing a fasting workout, you're going to begin decreasing your strenuous exercise into things that are more light. You want to reduce the stress 1 to 2 days, as it says there. You want to aim also for rest. Resting. 7 hours, 7 to 9 hours is what we recommend of quality restorative sleep before you fast. The body regenerates, it recycles, it regulates hormones during the fast. So you want to make sure that you're doing that, so that gets you ready, gets you prepared, gets you primed for the fast itself. And then you want to begin reducing caffeine and energy drinks, because they will cause spikes in your They can cause spikes in the cortisol. You can have withdrawal symptoms during those first hours. And if you have those, then the likelihood of you kind of coming off the fast or having a bad experience is increased. Not because of the fast, but because you're coming through sort of a withdrawal from those symptoms. And then your environment. Prepare your environment, right? Clean out your environment. Clean out temptations. When you visually see things, food, then your appetite is stimulated. Your cravings go up. And you'll see there that first line says, remove unhealthy snacks. I should say remove all snacks. There is no physiologic reason for snacking. The reason we snack is all mental, is all emotional. It's all the fact that it's just there. It is not a physiologic requirement. So snacking is one of the ways that most people can undo the benefits of the things that they got during fasting. Yeah. So you want to create a fasting friendly zone, right? Keep the kitchen stocked with healing teas, water, fasting supportive drinks. Prepare distractions, right? Plan reading, plan walking, plan meditation, plan distractions. You're going to hang out with friends. You have a new hobby. I have my bass that I picked up recently. And so as I'm getting up here, sometimes when I'm tired and I'm frustrated or something's not just going well, and I get up and I'm heading to the kitchen, which is over there, right? The bass is right there. So I end up grabbing the bass and I come back, I sit down and I start moving, right? Or start using it. So your environment. And then you want to prepare socially and emotionally. Because remember, fasting is not just not eating. Your support staff, your support network is great. So let them know what's going on in the fasting. Identify the triggers that are around you. Remember, the triggers come in 4 different categories: habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. The routines that we get into. When we eat, when we're not hungry, we eat because we go to the movies. We eat because it's lunchtime. We eat because everybody else is eating. We eat because it's, right? Habits. Emotions. If we get stressed enough, bored enough, tired enough, angry enough, frustrated enough, anxious enough, then we're going to push through our desire, our plan to not eat. Habits, emotions, access. When things are around, like I just said, studies have shown, when you see something, some food, then you can get stimulated. The food noise comes back. The cravings start. Not because you're hungry, but because you saw it. As a matter of fact, I went to the grocery store right before starting the show, and I was in the grocery store, and I walked in for one thing, and I went in and I grabbed a cart, because as soon as I went in, I smelled, because in the store I went to, as soon as you walk through the door, the bakery is right there. As I walked in, and I smelled, actually I saw it first. So I looked over and I saw one of my favorite, and I'm not even gonna say it. It's a cookie. Yeah, it's a cookie. So one of my favorite things, and my brain says grab a cart. So I grabbed the cart. Remember, I just went for one thing. I could just go grab it and walk out. But I grabbed the cart and I started heading in that direction. And then my limitless living kicked in. It says, wait a minute, what are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you heading over there? You know that when you see that, you're going to want it. And so I actually headed in the other direction. So habits, emotions, access, just having access, having things there. And then, of course, taste, the things that we eat, the bliss point, the perfect combination of sugar, salt, and fat that says, I can't just have one. And then you want to make sure that you are in a community. Join a community. Join a support system that is fasting, that has the goals that you have in mind. Reversing diabetes, improving high blood pressure, improving my weight, the goal of righting my dysfunctional metabolism. All of those are done as we prepare in the fast. And then I want you to have some takeaways. So here are some takeaways. Preparation is key. You want to prepare mentally, because that's huge. It drives a lot of what we do. You want to get good rest, because if you're not rested, then we have those cravings. You want to eat nutritional or nutrient-dense meals. Remember, as you're preparing for the fast, you don't want to have a lot of high, refined, sugary, carby things. And then you want to get in community, like-minded people. When I am in community and I tell a story, like the story I just told about going to the grocery store, in the community, people get it. I don't have to explain it. Because guess what? Sometimes that happens to them. But if you're not in community and you try to explain, have you ever tried, if you have food noise, right? If you have food noise, have you ever tried explaining to someone who doesn't have food noise what it's like to wake up thinking about food and to eat and be thinking about what your next food is going to be, and to be planning what you're going to eat in the morning, what you're going to eat that night? Right? But when you're a community, the community gets that. And that's a great place to be. That's a wonderful reason why it's good to be in a community space. And so when we talk about fasting successfully, now let's talk about how we get through the fast. And as we talk about this, there are several phases of fast. As I mentioned, I'm 74 and a half hours now into this week's fast. But we're going to spend our time talking about the first 24, 36 hours. All right, we'll come back and we've done check-ins where we've gone into 24 and 48 and so forth. We'll come back and do those at another time. But the first 24 hours is critical, because the first 24 hours sets the tone if we're doing longer fasts. And what happens in the first 24 hours tells us how we prepared for the fast. Right? It is a marker for how we did coming into the fast. So we're going to spend some time talking about the first 24 hours. And the first part of the first 24 hours really is what's called the postprandial period. And this is the phase where the body is now breaking down the food that we ate. The last meal happened 6 hours ago or less. Insulin levels are high because it is dealing with the sugar that we just ate. And most of the meals that we eat have carbs in them. So the body has to process that. And this is what I was saying. The more carbs you eat, the more sugar you eat coming into the fast, this phase can take longer. Because we got to process all the things that are coming in. The processes that are going on right now, so the digestive system is going. We're absorbing nutrients from the food. Blood glucose levels are peaking, right? Because it's coming out of the food. Our energy levels can be high. And then the blood sugars start to go down. Because remember, there's a fluctuation. Because the body's job is not to keep the blood sugar there. It's to get it to go down. It's get it into the normal range. The energy levels are high. And the body uses glucose. That's its thing, right? So it's not looking to carbs. It's not looking to fat, not looking at the ketones, because it has a ready source of sugar right here, right now. So that's the first 6 hours. And then the early fasting stage is the 6 to 12 hours following that. Insulin levels are decreasing. Glucagon levels are increasing, because remember, glucagon and insulin are opposite. So when blood sugars are high, insulin comes out, and as blood sugars begin dropping, then glucagon comes out, right? So the yin and the yang. And glucagon levels are increasing. This says to the body, says to the liver, that we need to start releasing some of the stored glucose that's there. Because remember, there are several things that are going on. When you eat, the body absorbs the sugar from the food, breaks down the carbs. Remember the amylase in the mouth and the digestive system, right? They're breaking those carbs up and they're converting them to sugar. And those carbs are either going to fuel your brain or your muscles or your heart or whatever's going on to keep you alive right now. But the excess gets stored. And the first place that gets stored is in the liver. So it gets stored in the liver, and then beyond that, right, because the liver can hold about 100 grams of glycogen. Once that's full, anything beyond that goes to other organs. Let me pause. Let me pause right here. I want you to understand what I just said. When we eat, the body has the ability to store a certain amount of sugar in the form of glycogen in the liver. That's like going to the grocery store, you buy whatever it is you buy. So I always use the example of a bag of rice because we buy a big bag of rice here at the house. And so you go to the grocery store and you buy that 50-pound bag of rice and you come home. Well, you're not going to eat the 50-pound bag of rice all right now. So what you do is you take some out and you wash it, you put it in the pot, and that's what you cook. There may be leftovers from that, and the leftovers get put in the refrigerator, right? So we got the immediate one, the immediate thing that we're gonna eat. We have leftovers from that, puts in the refrigerator. And then the bag that's left, right, because we're not eating 50 pounds, that bag goes into the pantry. So we got 3 places now where we have rice. We have the rice on the table in the plate that we're gonna eat. We have the excess or the leftovers that is in the refrigerator, and then we have the bag that we bought that's in the pantry. Make sense so far? So when you eat food, the blood that's circulating in your body, in your vessels, is like what's on the plate. That's what the body is using right now to run your brain and your lungs and your muscles and your mind, all of that. That's what's on the plate. If there's excess beyond that, the body takes that and it puts it in the liver. That's the refrigerator. If you have eaten more than that can be stored in the refrigerator, in the kitchen, in the liver, then the body takes that and it sends it out to the pantry. And the pantry is your fat cells and your muscles. And so that process is going on. And so when the plate is done, when the stuff on the plate is gone, you don't go to the pantry, right? You don't go to the fat cells first. What you do is you go to the refrigerator. You go to the liver and say, hey, I know I cooked some stuff. We had some leftovers. I'm going to the refrigerator. I'm going to take it out. It's only when the refrigerator stuff is gone that you then go back to the pantry to get more. So it's only when my liver, what's in my liver is done, that I then go to my fat cells and say, give me some. So in this early fasting stage, there's some that was in the blood and some that's in the liver. And now the ones in the blood is gone. And the body says to the glycogen says to the liver, hey, the stuff that I put in there, can you give it back to me? Does that make sense? So this is the process that's going on. So glycogenolysis, breaking down of glycogen to replenish the blood, the glucose that's in the blood. And that serves as immediate energy for right now. And that's helps to maintain the blood sugar levels right now. We're not getting into ketosis at this point because we're still getting stuff out of the liver. And if we're getting stuff out of the liver, then insulin level can be still there, right? And then our energy levels begin to fluctuate here because we're switching, right? Anytime the blood sugar goes down, we go to the liver, we get some, but then the blood sugar goes down again, we go back to the liver, we get some, blood sugar goes down, right? So there's that process that's going on. And that's called the early fasting stage. Early fasting stage. And then as we move further into fasting, we've gone from 0 to 6 hours, 12 to 18 hours, and then now the 18 to 24 hour period is where we're starting to transition to using fat. So we've used all the stuff that's on the plate, we've eaten that up, we've gone to the refrigerator, and we keep going to the refrigerator as long as there's stuff there, and then we went back this one time, and we looked in there, And instead of having a full serving of food, of whatever rice, there's only a half a serving or a quarter of a serving. And we're like, okay, I'm going to eat this, but now I need to start looking to see where I'm getting more from. Get the analogy? And so right here, we're starting to transition. The body has used up the glucose. The levels continue to drop. And so we're starting to see now some fatty acid release from the fat stores. And the liver is starting to do what's called gluconeogenesis. That is making sugar from non-sugar sources. That is, we're breaking fat down. And we have what's called a triglyceride. So triglyceride is a glycerol backbone. So think of it like a pitchfork, right? So there's like that. So there's the main part of the pitchfork, right? This part right here, and then the three spikes, right? And so it's triglyceride. That's what triglycerides are, right? So there are 3 fatty acids that are attached to a glycerol backbone. And so what the body does is it breaks the fatty acids off. That's fat. That's in the blood. But then this thing, the glycerol part, is still left. And glycerol sounds a lot like glycogen. And glycogen, we know, is glucose. So the body is able to take triglycerides, break the fatty acid part of it off, and it goes off to do whatever it needs to do. And then this part gets turned into sugar. So often when I'm fasting, people will say, hey, you've been fasting for whatever number of hours. Why is your blood sugar still going like this, above 70, below 70, above 70, below 70? That's because my body still has the ability from the fat to create sugar from that. And it is not until the fat goes away that my body loses the ability to make sugar from fat. But then we start breaking down other things like protein. Right? So the body is an incredible, incredible machine that has the ability to sustain itself. And then the next phase, right, is where ketosis begins. Ketosis is starting. Ketosis is where glycogen stores are nearly depleted. And this says to the body, hey, we need to, for sure now, get energy. So now I'm going to the pantry. I've eaten the stuff on the plate. I've exhausted the stuff that's in the refrigerator. And now I need to cook some rice. I need to cook some stuff. Go get the bag from the pantry and let's go ahead and start using that. Okay. So the metabolic changes that are going on during this period, these are impressive. The liver, which used to give us ketones, is now taking fat and it's metabolizing that into ketones and giving us energy from that. I think of this kind of like, I love superhero movies. It's Tony Stark, right? For Iron Man. So he gets the arc reactor, the new one, and he screws it into his chest and he goes, whoop, right? That energy. And it is a pure source, constant source of energy now. And things like autophagy begins, where the body's now going out and it is recycling. It's finding broken, damaged, unused cells, and it's taking them and sending them off and repackaging them and bringing them back in a different form, a better, more enhanced form, so that we can use that for energy. So we can repair things. This is where we start to see decreased inflammation. This is where we start to see improved immunity. This is where we start to see those benefits that we get in neurodegenerative diseases. You know what those are? Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and all those dementia-related diseases. This is where we start to see people improving from neuropathy. And this is where we start to see the benefits that come for people who have cancers. And our cancer fighting ability goes up because our body is seeing a cell. And you know what cancer is? Cancer is a normal cell that has abnormal growth. So we take a cell that's normally. We take a normal cell and somehow, for some reason, it begins to grow abnormally. That's what a cancer is. And so if my body during autophagy now is going out and finding broken, damaged, misshapen cells. It comes out and it sees a cell that looks like it's going to become abnormally or start growing abnormally, and it just gobbles it up. And so what have I just done? I have preempted the production of a cancer. Wow, wow, wow. So people who fast can have improvement in their cancer treatment. So it's been shown that when people are fasting, they can have improvement in their cancer because body uses ketones as energy as opposed to sugar. Infections are better because the body's using ketones instead of sugar. So autophagy is like beginning at this point. And energy levels are starting to change. So the body is using different energy. So our mental clarity goes up. So our mind, people say, I felt better. I was thinking more clearly when I was fasting. Yes, that is true. And it's because of what the body is using. And then fat adaptation. Fat adaptation has to do with the body switching now. So think of a hybrid car. And we're burning gas, sugar, and then we're burning energy from the battery. And so the body has switched. It's adapted to burning fat. So we have significant increase in ketones now. Production is happening. We have decrease on the reliance of glucose. So we're not even looking at glucose anymore. We're like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead, let's do this. Fat oxidation increases. We get more fatty acids that's flowing around. Energy levels are stable because there's not that fluctuation anymore. As the body becomes more used to, more efficient at burning ketones, we don't have to rely on sugar. We don't get those dips. And then hunger is decreasing, right? Remember that those first 24, 36 hours, as we are still in the process of dealing with sugar and glycogen and glucose, we get the food noise. But as the ketones come out, we get a steady source of energy, the hunger goes down. And that's no longer an issue for us. Amazing. Before we move on, let me say a couple of things. I want you to also remember that in this space, the things that we learned in the preparation of fast are very important here as well. So we want to make sure that we're hydrated. Because during fasting, the body is going through the process of autophagy. The body's going through the process of ketosis. And both of those need lubrication. They need the fluid to take the waste products away. They need the fluid to take the enzymes that are working and moving the ketones to different parts of the body. Right? All of that is enhanced, or not enhanced, is supported by hydration. So when you are not hydrated, when you're not drinking enough, you are actually hindering the process that you are trying to create. So we want to make sure that we're hydrated. We want to make sure that we are rested. If we're not well rested, that is a stress on the body. When stress comes, cortisol and epinephrine and the stress hormones go up. When that happens, that can dysregulate our hunger hormones. It dysregulates our insulin levels, and that can throw our fasting into chaos. Hydration, rest, decrease stress. Okay, very important. And then as we get into the breaking of the fast. So breaking of the fast is very important as well. A lot of times people will say, oh, I'm just going to eat, right? It doesn't matter what I eat. And the answer is yes, it does matter what you eat, because what you eat has the possibility of undoing some of the things some of the benefits that we had in the fast. Just an overview thought about the breaking of the fast. So we have been in a fast, and the goal of the fast is the three things, right? So 3 pillars of reversing diabetes: decrease the insulin, suppress the appetite, and reduce sugar. That's it. When it comes to metabolism, there's other benefits, but decrease insulin, decrease insulin, suppress the appetite, reduce sugar. And now when you come out of the fast, if you eat something that's highly sugary, right? Sugar's gone up. When sugar goes up, we increase insulin because insulin has to deal with the sugar. When insulin comes out, it stimulates the appetite. So you've just undone or reversed or made it difficult for the body to maintain those pillars of reversing diabetes. So coming out of the fast is paramount. How you come out of the fast is very, very important to the fast itself. So some tips as we get into this part. So you want to monitor your blood sugars. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I'm not diabetic. Why do I monitor? If you are going to know how your body is responding to the different things that you're doing, if you're saying, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be doing things to maintain my health, you want to know how those things are affecting the body. If you're eating foods, does that food you eat, does that one work for your body? We think that all food is equal. All food is not equal. There are some people who have an abnormal response to a particular type of food. They eat one food and their blood sugar goes up significantly. They eat another and it doesn't. And why does that matter? Because when the blood sugar spikes, the body has to produce insulin. And insulin, as we know, is the culprit. It's the thing that causes the dysregulation. Prompted by, of course, the carbs, the sugar. Okay? So you want to monitor your blood sugars. You want to monitor your blood sugars. You want to monitor your blood sugars. Did I say that enough? Let me say it one more time. You want to monitor your blood sugars. You may not be diabetic, but you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the pharmacy, and you can get their least expensive meter. Because you want to know the trends that are going on. You want to see how foods are affecting your body. I also monitor my ketones because I want to know when I'm in ketosis, and we'll take a look at that here in just a minute to see where I am at this point in my fast. So monitoring, very important. In addition to the monitoring of the blood sugars, in addition to monitoring of the ketones, you want to be in the process of always recording, journaling what's going on, journaling how you're feeling, journaling your journey through this fast. Each time you do the fast, what did you learn in this one? What was a takeaway? What was good? What do I need to change? What did I eat? So that you can have a record of that, because the next time it makes it that much simpler for you to find the right things to eat. Okay? So monitor. And then portions. A lot of times it's not that we are eating the wrong things, but we're just eating too much. When you go to certain stores and you get your meal, it's a restaurant, the amount that they give you is probably 2 or 3 times what a portion should be. But when we see it, we're like, okay, I've got to eat all of that because we think that's a portion. So the portion sizes are very important. And then you want to eat slowly. You want to eat slowly. It takes about 20 minutes for the signal to reach your brain that you're full. 20 minutes. So when you sit down at the table and you slurp it up and it's gone, there's no signal there yet. And you may eat 2 to 3 times more simply because you ate fast. And then finally the signal gets there and like, oh yeah, I'm full. But then by then you're stuffed. And here's the insidious thing, right? So we ate fast. The signal doesn't get there yet. When the signal finally gets there, we've eaten more than we should and our stomach is stuffed. It's stretched. And the body gets used to the size of the stretch. It gets used to the pressure of the stretch. So anytime our stomach gets to a normal size, we think we're hungry. Oh my goodness, look at that. Did you see that? Because we've trained our bodies, we've trained our stomachs to have that stretch. And when it's anything less than that, which is normal, we think that we're hungry. Because we've trained ourselves that way. So eat slowly. And then avoid sugary processed foods, right? That goes without saying because we get the stimulation, we get the spikes, we get all the insulin, we get all the downstream things, right? Make sure you're eating slowly. And just as we talked about in preparing for the fast and getting through the fast, hydration is important. Hydration, hydration, hydration. If you are hydrated, then you will not think you're hungry all the time. Well, let me back up. If you maintain hydration after the fast, then the chances of you confusing hunger for or dehydration for something else goes down. Let me say it that way. Water is always good. Coconut water, unsweetened. Herbal teas, always good, right? Non-caffeinated varieties that can soothe you and can keep you hydrated, keep you going. And then, of course, proteins are very important. Eggs, chicken, tofu, turkey breast, tempeh. Why are proteins important? Because they don't spike the blood sugar. They help you feel full because when they go in, they stretch the stomach. Proteins stimulate the production of protein YY, which is a signal to the brain that I'm full. So proteins, very, very beneficial. The same thing with the fats that we eat. They also stimulate the production of cholecystokinin, which is a hormone that sends a signal that says we're full. They slow the GI tract so the stuff doesn't move out, so our stomach stays fuller longer. So things like avocados and nuts, and we're talking about healthy fats, seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, all of those. In addition to that, they also have the benefit of having enough fiber or having fiber in them, which is helpful for us. Back to hydration, broths are very good. Vegetable broths, bone broths. Often I will break my fast with a broth because I want to maintain ketosis as long as possible. And then some considerations as you're ending your fast. When you're breaking the fast, you want to choose foods that help you maintain stable blood sugars. They offer nutritional value, and they are gentle on the GI tract. This is particularly important if you are doing an extended fast, because when you do an extended fast, your GI tract is actually quiet. It's gone, I'm not going to say gone to sleep, but it has slowed down. And when you just dump stuff in there, it has to wake up quickly, and that can lead to things like bloating, abdominal discomfort. It can lead to increased elimination. All of those things can happen if we're not careful as we're coming out of the fast. And for the fast, you want to focus on low glycemic index foods. These are things that are not going to spike the blood sugar. So we said glycemic index of 50 or less is what you want to look for. You want to do lean protein, healthy fats, and make sure that you are remaining hydrated. Remaining hydrated. So that is the review of fasting, right? We want to make sure that every piece of that, every part of that is what we're looking at. How we prepare for the fast, how we get through the fast, and then, of course, how we break the fast. All of that is very important if we're going to be successful in what we do. As we are moving through the path, I want you to remember that everything that we do is built on the Triple E formula for success that says that we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, the podcasts, the blogs. We empower with the tools that we're learning, like fasting. And we encourage with the community that you are a part of. So let's hop over and let's say hi to some of our community members and say, and then we'll take a look at blood sugars here in just a minute. Let's see. I think I see. Let me go back up. So I think Gian was talking about my 24 hours. I was talking about my 24-hour fast. She says, "Wow, 24 hours." Let's back up and see. So I see. And you had a couple of questions, which we'll come back to that in just a minute. So my cravings, she's saying her cravings are strong. Bui is saying, hello, Gian. She says, from environment, I have to clear my refrigerator. Whenever my refrigerator is full, it triggers me, my craving. Yeah. I had to get rid of some stuff. And I deliberately don't buy new stuff to put in there. Okay. So Gian says, hi, Bui. So my husband asked me to bake cookies while fasting. I told him no, and that and to value my fast. It's a great job, Bowie. Health is more important than sweets. I love it. I love it. Yes, yes, but I always eat. This is Gian saying sweet things. It is something that we do. It is in our space. Gian says I have difficulty to eat and control my sugar. It is. It is. Sugar Busters is a program that I did a couple of years ago. We may bring that back, and it's a 15-day, 15-day challenge to change our palates, understanding sugar, its effect on us. But it is a big deal. It is a big deal. She said I try to eat fruits when I had sweet cravings. Water and fiber helps lower cravings. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Great tip, Bowie. Wow, our human body is genius. Yeah, our body is amazing. Fasting is also good for cancer. Yes, it's been shown to improve cancer risk and also to help people who have cancer. They respond better to their treatment when they're fasting. Bowie says, I eat too fast. I feel my stomach hurt. Yeah, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. I'm telling you, right? So you said that just now, and I got it. Because I've been there. Oh, Gian says, same here. I eat fast so I can eat a lot. I love it. Yeah, I love this because it is so it's so much the things that I see. All right, so let's hop over and let's go ahead and let's take a look at my meter. And of course, because I've been talking, as always happens, that gets logged out. So let's go ahead and look back at it. And this is, we're going to look and see what my blood sugars have been over the last several days. And so today, let's use this view today. And you'll see there that my average blood sugar, my average blood sugar is 114, right? That's what that is, 114 right there. And my glucose management indicator, which is a surrogate for A1C, is 6.0. So if I were to get an A1C now based on this, then that would be what my A1C is. It is not an A1C, it's a calculation, so I can't call it an A1C. I'm in target 89% of the time. Let's see, where's that? Right here. 89% of the time. And my target is 70 to 90. See that there? Let's go ahead and take a look at blood sugars. And this is a daily representation of what my blood sugars have been. And so today, we were in the 70s earlier in the day. We went up to about 102, 104, right? And then back down. And then we kind of been straddling in the low 80s to 100s. And then started dropping down to what it is now at 85. And my sensor just went off, so we'll see what that is in just a minute when it reconnects. And then if I go backwards, all yesterday you'll see that we were kind of going up and down around 70 all yesterday. And then so let's go back. So I started my fast right about here. Let's go back right about here. So so that's 72 hours. So 48 hours. So blood sugars were here in the 60s. Back 24 hours, we're right here, 76. And at 0 hours, when we first started the fast, right, we're right at 86. If we go back even further, right, and I was doing one meal a day, so we can actually see that as well. So one meal a day, so I would do my meal late in the evening, if you remember, because we'd been on the show and so forth. And I don't eat until later. So when I ate, over here, you'll see the blood sugars spike, and the spike didn't come until right here about 1 o'clock in the morning, right? So depending on so I'm trying now to eat earlier so that spike comes before midnight. Same thing here, one meal a day, so all day blood sugars have been in the hundreds, 115, 140s, and then I ate, and then we see the spike. So one meal a day, that's the result right there. Going back further, right? So one meal a day, so nothing. And then here, and that's what we saw in the previous page where it spiked up late in the evening. This was Thursday of the week before, right? So we broke our fast right in here. So that's why you saw that spike. But we were fasting, right? So we started the fast right around here sometime. And so 0 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, and 72 hours. That's the previous week's fast. And then as we started eating, because we broke the fast, let's go back to that previous page. Let's go back here. That's what you saw right here. Okay, you see that spike? Okay. All right, so let's hop over now and let's take a look and see what my ketones are. And so my meter didn't pick up my blood sugar. Okay, so 83. This is on the Dexcom, and we'll wait to see what this guy is when it comes back. But until then, let's hop over and let's look at my Keto Mojo. And you remember yesterday when we checked, my blood sugar at that time was 65 and my ketones were 2.5. So let's see what it is now. And I think I saw one guess in there. So Gian, let me go back and see what Gian said. Well, actually, now that I'm scrolling through, before I do that, let's go ahead and let's answer some of these questions. So let's go back here for a second. And she said, question, what do you usually eat for healthy fats? So I eat nuts. I eat cheese. I eat avocados, right? So those are the things I usually eat. Cheese has become one of my things, and I need to. Right now, I eat cheese. Let me answer that question, right? So I'm working on some cheese, some cheese thoughts that I need to change because I eat a lot of cheese. So how about black coffee while fasting? I don't drink coffee, but certainly yes. If you remember several shows ago, or in our last season, we said that the black coffee is allowed in the fast. And says, Doctor, how do you control cravings right before cycles? Oh, okay. So this is a good one. This is a good question, because it is something that that happens to a lot of people. Because remember, during menstrual cycles, there is a lot of hormonal change going on. Right? And sometimes I will actually advise women who are interested in fasting that when they are at certain parts of the cycle that they don't try to fast. Right? When the cycle is first starting, the hormones are very high, right? So things are in very much turmoil. So sometimes I'll say to them, don't try to fast at the beginning of the cycle, but then as you get further into the cycle, that's when you want to fast, right? Because it's much simpler at that point, because the hormones are beginning to quiet. And then during the beginning of the fast, when the hormone, or during the beginning, right, and you're asking about cravings, during the beginning, that is the time when you've got to begin really implementing a lot of things that we talk about in terms of the mental aspect. Remember the COPE model? The mental aspect of regulation. So that when you're coming out of the cycle, right, we're fasting. When we end the fast, we're doing the things we just talked about in terms of breaking the fast. And as we are approaching the cycle, because we have a calendar, and we've recorded, we got the cycle, we know when it's coming. Within reason, maybe 1 or 2 days, right? We know when it's coming. So a week before that, we've got to begin changing the things that we're doing because we know it's coming. So if we've been eating a lot of highly processed, high carb stuff, when we get to that cycle, guess what? Not only are we fighting the hormonal changes that come with the cycle, but we're also fighting the changes that happen because of the food that we just ate. Okay, so that is a very good question, by the way. Very good question. Let's see, any other questions that I highlighted there? I don't see any, but I do see Rachel Lee. Hey, Rachel. Rachel said, I made it to 22 hours. Clearly, I'm a work in progress. well, congratulations. You get a hand clap and you get some music, and thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. 22 hours is amazing. Okay, so for those of you who are out there, I recommend 24 hour once a week, right, is the fast. And you're working your way to that. And I don't know how many hours you have fasted before, Rachel, but I love the fact that you are at 24 hours. And that's a celebration because it's not 21 hours, it's not 20 hours, it's not 19 hours, it's not 18 hours, it's not 16 hours, it's not 12 hours, it's not 8 hours, it's not 0 hours. It's 22 hours of fasting. Amazing. And you want to, if you're trying to fast longer, you want to begin building that up. Instead of next week doing 22, do 23, and then 24. And if you're trying to go beyond that, when you get comfortable with 24, do 25 and 26 and 27. And notice what we're doing. We're extending the fasting. And if we do it that way, then we have a higher chance of success. I love it. Well, thank you once again for coming through and hanging out with us. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at my... we were talking about my Keto Mojo and looking at my ketones. So yesterday, blood sugar was 65, and my ketones were 2.5. So let's go ahead and see what that is right now. So we're going to have to grab this and get that out of the way. Turn my Keto Mojo on. And then we'll get this synced here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and hit the button to get it synced. And drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. And I think Jillian said that she thought my ketones were going to be, did I see a 2.7 or 3? Oh, Jillian said 3.5. Wow, 3.5. Let's see what it is. Drum roll, please. Look at that, 3. How did you know? How did you know? So blood sugars are 55. Blood sugar 55, and then ketones are 3.5. So great job. I'm going to give you a hand clap for that. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, you hit it right on the mark. So remember, ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. That is... that's where we want. For people who are interested in ketosis, being in ketosis, if you're eating ketogenic diet, if you are fasting and want to get in ketosis, if you're using a fasting mimicking diet, all of those, we want ketones to be 0.5 or higher. Okay, so that's the goal. If we look at when we look at the graph, let's go ahead and take a look at that here. And you'll see that the turquoise line, those are ketones, and then the tan line, those are blood sugars. So insulin and ketones can't exist in the same space. So as my blood sugars were high over here, my insulin also was high, and so my ketones, by virtue of that, were low. As the blood sugars started dropping, my ketones started going up, and blood sugars dropping further, ketones are going up, to where we are right now, where my blood sugar is 55 and the ketones are 3.5. So the longer we fast, the higher those ketones are, but we want them to be at least 0.5 or higher. I love it, love it, love it. All right. So, Triple E formula for success. Make sure that you are doing the things that we're talking about. Don't just let this be theory, but implement the fasting that we're doing. We recommend 24-hour once a week. The 100-day walk to consistency and health. You are building a routine, right? So rhythm, alignment, and structure. The rhythm of your life. What is the general tenure of your life? That's limitless living. The things that we do, what we're going to do, what we're going to think, how we're going to look at things, how we're going to approach life, how we're going to be intentional. The rhythm of your life. The alignment. Are the things you're doing aligned with what you say you want to do, or who you say you want to be? Are they aligned with your why? And then is there structure? So the 100-day walk, it's producing a place where you can do something for your body. It's helping teach and learn and change your perspective and your mindset. And it's providing structure, right? Getting up every morning at 6 o'clock. That's what we're doing. 6 o'clock, 30 minutes. We're setting aside the time. Now, you may be rowing, you may be swimming, you may be yogaing, you may be stretching, whatever it is, but you are putting in the time. And for me, you'll see as I walk through that series, it's not always at 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's at noon when I'm at lunch, or sometimes it's afternoon when I'm coming home from work. But you're putting in the time on a daily basis, one of the tools. So putting those things into practice, balanced bites, the things that we eat, the things that we feed our body, the signals that are coming from the food that are dysregulating our system, we are working. Whole foods, minimal processing, no added sugar, lean protein, healthy fats, portion controlled, starchy and non-starchy vegetables, and food that tastes good, because it gotta taste good, y'all. So those are the tools that we're using. Make sure that you are implementing them. And then the community that you are part of, join the show, come on the show, let us know what's going on. If you've not been into our community, you need to be there. We have after the show where we do some discussion and talk about the show. And we have a time once a month where we meet up, our community meetup. If you're not in the community, you want to make sure you join the community, because it is a place for support, where we help to support each other, we help to advise each other, we help to see where each other, we just get to come alongside each other and move through this space. Educate, empower, and encourage. And as I always say, I'm happy to be here with you. Glad to be in this space. Later this week, we will have tomorrow, we'll have video from the vault. Make sure that you are there. We will have our This Week in Review on Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central. And then next Monday, remember this coming Monday and the Monday after, we won't have a live show, but there will be something in this space for you. Make sure you join, make sure you come on, and make sure you help support one another. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Always excited to be here. Glad to be in this space. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, we're living a limitless life. And limitless living says that I am breaking free from the constraints, those boundaries that have been put on me. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, my best life. I'm not allowing anything from outside of me or anything from in me to prevent me from doing what I need to do to improve my health, to improve my metabolism, to reverse my diabetes. Thank you for being here. Have a great one, and we'll see you at the next visit. And we see you at the next show. And if you are in the community, we'll have our link up in a minute. We'll do our after the show. We'll see you over there. Good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.